this is one of the sessions we are all looking forward to. And before we start the Q&A session, I would like to remind participants to use the raise hand feature. You can start to raise your hand now, and I will start with first batch for 3 people. And please mention your affiliation, your name, and towards who you're going to ask the question. You can ask the question in Indonesian, and I can help to translate the question too. So if there are some people already raised their hand, we can. Yes, Ibu Evi, please ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Sylvie, for the opportunity. I would like to ask about the public health. I think because a lot of our alumni from Faculty of Health Sciences are already pursue some scholarship for Master of Public Health and probably for PhD in my case. I have a question regarding, is there any arrangement, because a lot of PhD candidates in our site would like to have like a shorter period of study. How many years in UNC for the PhD degree, timeline and so on, and how normally it finish, do you have like a maximum period for that? And is there also any arrangement that we can take, for example, if we can do for the first years in the United States, and then we come back to collecting the data in Indonesia and things like that? Is there any arrangement for that, so we can still do some distant learning or so on, something like that? Yeah, I think that's my question, because a lot of us who go to PhD, we have already family settled here, and we probably would like to have arrangement that probably easier to us, rather than we move all of us, our family, to the US. We probably have like, certain period of time to finish our study between US and Indonesia, something like that. Thank you.
So I can answer that question. It's a great question. We do have for our Master of Public Health a completely online program that can be done from anywhere in the world. So that is a great thing to know about. It is limited in terms of the types of concentrations that it offers. So for our Master of Public Health distance, to do that online, we only have that available for the leadership and practice, nutrition, and applied epidemiology concentrations. So just those 3. Our doctoral programs are all primarily residential, with the exception of the DRPH program that I mentioned. That's that unique one that's more for people who are working in mid to senior level management. That is a distance program, but there are some in-person components 3 times a year that require you to come to campus for that. But if you want to stay where you're located, that would be probably the best one for that in the doctoral realm. You had asked something before that too about those programs. I think it was the amount of time it takes to complete, and it does vary tremendously depending on your program and your research and how long that can take. Most our doctoral programs are going to require about 2 to 3 years of coursework upfront that you're working on, and then you get into your dissertation phase, your research phase, which can take maybe 3 to 4 years depending on what you're doing. So I would say on average, most of our doctoral students complete their program within 5 years. The requirement at UNC is that you must complete your PhD within 8 years. So you can't go beyond the 8 without special exception. Dr. Manga, I don't know if you want to mention anything specific about students in your lab and how that might relate.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really a great question. So one of the things I could say is, as Jonathan has said, all the programs you have to be here for the PhD, but depending on the research we do, you could work with your PI to collect data from your country. For example, right now I have some work going on in a different country, and my student is in that country for almost 4 months. So the whole of that semester is going to be collecting data and doing research, but he has to come back and stay here to write the data for the rest of the PhD. So that's something you can work out with your supervisor. And given the time, I think Jonathan has talked about the time for a PhD, it's usually between 5 to 8 years, but all that still depends on the student and the time you put in. Because if a student is ready to really put in time, get everything done, you probably like it to get it done within 5 years or even 4 years, but that means you're really a hardworking student.
Thank you so much for the answer. Is there any more? I didn't see any raised hand, but I particularly have a question about internship. I think this is one of the good feature that Gillings School have. And maybe Jonathan, you can explain more about the internship opportunity for a master's student. And I don't know if we have that at ESE, Dr. Musa, but you can add to that too. Thank you.
That's a great question. So our Master of Public Health has what's called a practicum, and it typically takes place for our residential students in the summer between year 1 and year 2 that you're studying. Those practicum opportunities are really great experiential learning where you go out into the field and you're implementing public health practice. So you spend your entire first year in the program learning about the core concepts and the foundation of public health. And then you're implementing that during that summer. And then we're very intentional about making sure that you're reflecting on those experiences for your second year so that you can make the most out of that second year. So very intentional in the way that it's built out. Students do those practicum experiences everywhere from in our own backyard in Chapel Hill to across the globe. You can do them anywhere you want. We have support resources to help you find those and set those up, but it is a very independent process. So you'll have a faculty mentor that's assigned to you to help with that. You'll have your academic coordinator. You have a practicum team of individuals who work specifically with practicum. And they do workshops throughout the first year as well to help you identify lots of different opportunities. What I'll do too is put in the chat a link that shows you our practicum requirements as well as a database where you can search through what practicum sites people have done in the past. There's keyword searches. So if there's a particular discipline or area of interest that you have or a particular country that you want to see, has somebody done a practicum here, you can see what's been done in the last 3 years. Some of our other degree programs do have internship and practicum experiences built into them as well. Usually they're more on the practitioner side, but there are some PhD programs that we offer that do have that built into their curriculum too. I'll go ahead and defer to Dr. Manga if you'd like to speak about some of the work that maybe your students have done in that regard.
No, I think you've explained it very well. So as you said, it's something that's open. You could do the practicum whatever part of the world you actually could go and do it, as long as it's safe. Because the other thing we also worry about is safety. But it's open to whenever you could get to do this practicum and put into practice whatever you've acquired in the program.
Yes, thank you so much for the answer. We have one person already raised hand. Could you please open your mic? Thank you so much. Please ask your question, Pak Sir Yusla Kapu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the time giving to me. My question, I directed my question to Mr. Jonathan. Mr. Jonathan, could you please tell or give me some views about epidemiology department in UNC, if I'm not mistaken? Because I'm interested. I want to know more about the epidemiology department in UNC. Maybe because I was graduated from epidemiology program, so I'm intend to continue in epidemiology also. So I want to know a little about epidemiology department in UNC.
Sure, I'm happy to mention that. It's our largest doctoral program that we offer is through our Department of Epidemiology. So I think I mentioned before that they bring in about 25 to 30 new PhD students every year, which is pretty substantial. They are unique in the way that they set that up because they do not require you to have a faculty match when you come into the program. Instead, what they do is they admit to the program and the cohort rather than to the research subject area. And they let you explore that during the first year. And then during that first year, they work with you to identify a faculty match. And that's how you end up with your advisor that you work with and build out your committee through that. So it is very different and unique. And I think that gives students a lot of really great opportunity to explore different areas of interest for them. They have a variety of topics that they focus in with research. Cancer, cardiovascular disease, infectious disease, injury, reproductive and pediatric epidemiology, environmental, occupational epidemiology. Pharmacoepidemiology is a really big topic in our school. We have an annual conference that we go to every year that's international, that is very well attended by our students and our faculty members. They do genetic epi, social epi. So there's a lot of really great things that are going on in that department. And they typically provide funding for their students for 5 years that includes tuition, fees, health insurance, some type of stipend that's usually around maybe $25,000 a year. But all of that is also dependent on the student and which kind of research area they're gravitating towards. And also if you're bringing in scholarships, that's also very helpful. So being a part of LPDP is really helpful. So that's a little bit about the department. I think I mentioned too that some of the things that they're really well known for recently has been a lot of the work that some of our faculty in epidemiology have been doing to help fight COVID-19. We've been in the news substantially across the globe, and one of our faculty members in particular is in the news quite often for his work. He's been studying coronaviruses for the last 4 decades and is one of the leading researchers in the world. And it's really neat because thinking about all of the faculty members, including Dr. Mango, who you heard from today, it's like working with celebrities at Gillings all the time. I feel like I walk around and everybody's just a first name basis and so friendly and so collegial. It's a part of that community that you heard our students talking about that really makes a big difference. So I hope that gives you at least a little bit of a taste of what the department has to offer. I do encourage you, if you're thinking about applying to their PhD program, their deadline is relatively early, so you need to get your application in before December 10th for their PhD. For our Master of Public Health, we do have an applied epidemiology concentration. It is one of our most competitive concentrations to be admitted to. And so if that is an interest for you, I do recommend listing them as your primary interest, but having a second concentration on your application that you'd like to be considered for as well, just because they're limited with the number of seats that they offer. So if you, for any reason, are admitted to the other concentration rather than applied epi, you can still take electives in epidemiology and still get that training that you're looking for. But your focus area would be in something else. And epidemiology is really foundational. So it's going to be something that you find in pretty much every discipline. There's going to be something core to epidemiology.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation. Now we have one more person already raised hand. Please, Mr. Avander Adu, you can ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to ask to Dr. Musa. I just want to ask about the timeline. When is the timeline is closed? Can it be spring? Because now I just got a scholarship from Indonesian government, but we still have an enrichment language program to improve our IELTS, and the program will be end at hello. Yeah. Is it clear? My voice clear? Yeah. The program will be end. The program for English enrichment program for us as an awardee will be end at the end of the July. So it is still possible for the timeline for spring. And could you explain a bit more about faculty math requirements and how once can I get a match? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That's a great question. So one of the things that maybe I didn't talk about is in our department, we allow students in the spring and in the fall. So we've got timelines for the fall and the spring. So if you already have funding now, you could actually get in touch with a faculty of interest. If it's along my line of research, you could reach out to me. I'll be able to schedule a meeting. And then basically we can discuss that, and I'll share with you some of the timelines for the spring. I don't know if Jonathan has them, because then those you can apply and then you can start in January for the spring semester, and that should be fine.
So I put the spring deadline in the chat for spring of 2025. Our deadline for the ESE PhD program is October 8th. So you would need to get your application in by that deadline to be considered to start that spring semester. And then we have our fall timeline as well, but it sounds like the spring is going to be more aligned with what you're looking for.
Thank you so much for the answer. I think we are towards the end of our Q&A session. We have one more person. Please, Mr. Najmi Barizan, to ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Could you hear my voice?
Yes, but could you please a bit louder?
Okay. Thank you very much for this big opportunity. It's my honor to can ask some questions for the most talented person in worldwide, I guess, Mr. Jonathan, Dr. Musa, and all people in here, Mr. Wisnu Tianggono. Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to tell about who I am. My name is Najmi Barizan, and I am from Bandung in Indonesia. And I am a fresh graduate in University Jenderal of Ahmadiyani. So in here, I have a big curiosity about how you guys can come up with your research ideas back then in the past. I mean, if it's not bothering you, could you share how you get those ideas? And also, speaking about you also come from the epidemiology field, could you tell me what are the hot topics in worldwide right now about the epidemiology? That's my question. Thank you.
For the
Sure.
question, yes, it's in summary, it's about how people can kind of like narrowing down their research focus and to choose kind of like topic that's trending currently. Thank you.
So, and I'm sure my colleagues can add to this, but I think it's a very individual process to narrow those interests. I think what I recommend is thinking about what's drawing you to public health. What are the things that you're most passionate about? I think Dr. Manga made a really good point that you want to pursue something that is of interest to you because that's what's going to keep you going in the lab late at night or to get your assignments completed. And those kinds of things. So think about those things that really turn you on or get you excited about public health. And speak with professors about that who are doing research that aligns with that. Speak with current students or former students who are doing those kinds of opportunities, and we can help connect you to others if there's an area of interest. It sounds like epidemiology might be an area for you. So I would say that those are really important things. Right now, some of the hot topics in the world of epidemiology are some of the diseases and the things that are responsible for deaths around the world in largest numbers. And so we're thinking about cardiovascular disease and cancer and things of that nature. Obviously, thinking about pandemic preparedness and interventions there, because what we've gone through in the last few years is not the end of that. There will always be more things to be preparing for and worldwide disasters and those kinds of things. In fact, we have an entire certificate program on community preparedness and disaster preparedness. And so that's something that I think the EPI department works very closely with. But I would say too, that there's just increasingly kind of where EPI and the environmental sciences and engineering realm overlaps is the impact of climate change and the impact of water and air quality on our overall health. And there are many large population studies that are going on with that regard. And so there's nothing that happens in public health in a vacuum. It's all connected in many different ways. And so, for someone like yourself who maybe has broad interests or is trying to narrow that down, the best advice I can give you is start having conversations with people who are doing work that appeals to you and see kind of where it takes you from there.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Musa, do you want to add anything to that?
I think Jonathan has really said it well. So as we already said, you need to think about public health as an interdisciplinary kind of area where it has something to touch on epidemiology, something to touch on behavior change, something to touch on environment. So there are so many things that can link. So the first thing is decide on what interests you and then start building it up with whoever you want to work with.
Thank you so much. One last question is for Dr. Musa. In the chat, it's more general about the procedure to apply for ESE department specifically. Like, so they apply for through the school, or there is like procedure through the department and the professor? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that's really a good question. I think one of the things we do in this department is you should identify someone who is working in your area of research and then write to them. And then if they feel you are not very much close to what they are doing, they'll connect you to their colleague. So if you reach out to me and you're asking something about air that I don't do, I'll send an email to my colleague and send your CV to him and say, very nice student is here, please, is this someone you need? And then they'll start going in touch with you. Alternatively, we've got another person, and that's Kira Jones, who actually helps a lot with students. So usually when someone sends an email like that, I tend to respond copying in Kira, and then Kira will probably take on that conversation to see how to connect with other people. And I can actually put Kira's email as well there. So you can write directly to Kira if you really, so that I can put the email there and then you can reach out to her directly.
Yes, thank you so much. I think we are towards the end of our webinar today. I'm really grateful for the presentation and the question and answer given by Dr. Musa, Jonathan, and Ibu Mira, Dr. Wisnu Tiranggono. I think it's really useful and enriching the participants about how they can apply to UNC Gillings School of Public Health. In summary, first from USAID Teman LPDP, there are a lot of activities and a lot of supports. So please register to the Zoom link, to the registration form that we provided in the beginning, so you can continue get this information for future webinars and support, and also preparation to apply for US universities. And detailed information is already provided by Jonathan, but I will be sharing the registration for UNC specifically, so you will be continuing to get information and connection with information from UNC. And Dr. Musa has explained about procedures and how you can email and approach him. Please really use the opportunity, because not all professors will reply your email. I will let you know. I've applied to many US universities, and not all of them are as kind as Dr. Musa. So leverage this opportunity, because I've experienced sending emails and never get any reply. So if you have experienced that, then yes, leverage the kindness that Dr. Musa have provided through this presentation. And lastly, we are really grateful with the support from Brawijaya University. As Professor Imam has explained, there's some talk with potential future webinar or potential collaboration, and I will give that to Dr. Musa and Jonathan to continue this potential collaboration. I think we are at the end of our webinar, and before we close, Ibu Mira Sambada, if you would like to give some closing remarks for all the participants for a couple of minutes, please. Ibu Mira, if you're still here. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I'm still here. How can I not resist listening to this wonderful information? Thank you very much, Mbak Sylvia. Thank you very much, Pak Jonathan and Pak Musa, for this very important information on UNC. It is so good to hear informations about no GRE like that. It's very wonderful. And thank you for the deadlines and also your email communication. And I know that this is very helpful for those, especially like Afandar Andu, where he is now in a bridging course or preparation from LPDP, to be able to try going to UNC, and especially for others also. And I would like to thank Pak Wisnu also on a very exciting, and you also, Mbak Sylvia, on your experiences in the US. It is so refreshing to and interesting for those who doesn't even understand how it is, expecting their expectations and managing all the what do you call it, the flow of the admission process, and also going to the US. I thank alphai for having this great opportunity to connect with UNC and with others in Indonesia, especially for University Brawijaya, Bapak Didi and Pak Ima. Thank you very much. And I saw a lot of people that I know. I just cannot say one by one. Thank you very much for attending this session, and looking forward to more session coming up from alphai. Please connect with our Instagram. It's called USAID TEMAN LPDP, and you will get a lot of information on the Instagram, because there are there's an upcoming video competition and more. So don't forget to follow us. And once again, thank you very much for this great webinar, and a special thanks to Mbak Sylvia, who has been mastering this program. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good luck for everyone. Go to UNC. Pak Musa and Pak Jonathan, be ready.
Thank you so much, Ibu Mira, for the support for the webinar today. And one more announcement for those who've asked a question during the Q&A session, please follow alphai Instagram and send your address, because there will be some merchandise for you. And with that, we're going to end the webinar today. Thank you for all participation and engaging question for today. It's been a privilege to share about insight and experience regarding graduate study at UNC Chapel Hill, specifically at Gillings School of Global Public Health. I hope you found this webinar informative and inspiring to consider your future educational path. And me and my friends at UNC and Gillings, my Indonesian friends specifically, are waiting for you, and don't hesitate to contact us with any question that you have, and wishing you all the best for your academic and professional endeavors. Stay curious, motivated, and let's keep in touch. Goodbye for now. Don't forget to fill out the Google form for Gillings after this. Thank you and Goodbye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Have a nice rest, those in US. And selamat
Terima
beraktivitas
kasih.
di Indonesia.
Terima kasih Silvi.
Dadah.
Silvi,
Terima kasih
keren.
Mira.
Makasih. Mari Bu Evi, makasih. Mas Wisnu, matur nuwun.